The city of Las Vegas, Nevada exists in a basin on the floor of the Mojave Desert, surrounded by mountains on all sides. Rocks and desert vegetation are all that live around it. It can be subject to torrential flash floods. The mountain peaks that circle the city are upwards of 10,000 feet high and prevent moist air from entering the valley. Nevada is the third most seismically active state in the United States, and over the next 50 years, there is a 10 to 20% chance of a magnitude 6.0 earthquake striking the city. Nuclear testing occurred a mere 65 miles outside the city limits. Humanity has no business settling there, and it is that mistake that brought us these films this week. We watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and What Happens in Vegas.
Ah, the French champagne.
Can you tell me which members of the Reservoir Dogs you two are currently dressed as?
I'm Mr. Pink.
Sis Blue.
So Miranda hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
Classic.
Classic Spielberg.
Classic Spielberg.
He needs to kill 94 different 65-year-old men over 2.5 years because those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler.
There's like a bunch of other shit that happens in Driven.
Is there?
Shake it. Shake it.
The schlocky movie from this week may be the schlockiest film we've ever seen on this podcast.
The Citizen Kane of the week is... Wowie Zowie. If there was ever a time to say Wowie Zowie, I think it's now. Thanks, Sean. That's some fun facts about Las Vegas.
Yeah, it was my fact rundown. Facts.
The fact rundown. And yeah, it kind of, that is a good summation though. These both feel like movies that came from a place of despair in some way.
Yeah.
that there's an element that, like you say, like they really, the same way that it shouldn't have been, no one should have settled there. It's like these movies wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for that, and that might have been okay.
Might have been better for the world.
Might have been okay.
Maybe. That being said, I will say I did have a wonderful time in very different ways watching these movies. Anyway, so without further ado, I will say hello and welcome to Citizen Kane Versus. This is a podcast where we compare a movie that is more on the classic side, and we compare it to a movie more on the schlocky side, and we ask ourselves honestly, which is better. My name is Jack Rennie, and I'm joined by my two friends, one,
Sean Jacqueline.
and the other,
Daniel Benoit.
Copycat.
Yeah. And we're joined by another dear friend of the pod, Erin Maxfield. Hi, Erin.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
If some of you know this by now, if you're following the pod, Erin is also Sean's better half, far better half.
So much better she had to be in a separate room for the recording.
Yeah, she would not lower herself.
Yeah.
To share that space. And Erin pitched these movies last week, so thank you, Erin.
Yeah, you're welcome, Daniel. I like your face.
You know what? I just finished watching Fear and Loathing like 10 minutes before I hopped on here, and I feel like I'm still coming down off of a hard drug.
That was very high.
So yeah, so thank you, Erin.
I watched it this afternoon, like in the sun. Like the sun was like really hot today for the first time in a while, and I was like sitting on my couch, like watching this movie. And Miranda came home like halfway through, or she finished her class, sorry, and she came out and she was like, "Oh, I want to see some of it for the pod." And she kind of sat with me, and she quickly also like kind of settled into the couch, and she was like, "So what's going on?" And I was like, "I don't know." He keeps saying he's an attorney. I think they were sent here.
The movie finished, and I went to the bathroom, and while I was in the bathroom, Marisa just went outside quickly to take the garbage out, and I came out of the bathroom and I was like, "Hey, Marisa," and no one answered, and I thought that I was suddenly just like tripping on acid.
Oh man.
Because no one answered.
Wait, we're talking about What Happens in Vegas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Also, that's what happens when the trip goes real weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In What Happens in Vegas.
In What Happens in Vegas, yeah.
Okay, great.
Fear and Loathing, that's just an acid trip. Like,
Yeah.
what happens in Vegas is when the acid has been mixed with some terrible chemicals.
Yeah, when a really like sappy screenwriter takes like a placebo drug and then is like, whoa, I'm feeling so creative. I'm gonna write this amazing rom-com. Maybe we'll get the Kutch involved.
Yeah.
You got him.
They got him. So really quick at this point, if you are listening to the podcast today, thank you so much. We would very much appreciate it if you do any of those social media things. One of them, many of them, all of them, including liking, subscribing on YouTube, following us on Instagram at Citizen Kane VS Podcast, on Twitter at Citizen Kane VS. YouTube is the same, Citizen Kane VS, liking us, commenting, sharing, reviewing, rating, all the good stuff. You've probably heard it a million times. And if you feel like doing it for us, it makes a big difference because we're just starting. So thanks. And also, the main thing is, if you know Carrie Elways, we really want him on the show. We want him to come on the show. We want him to be our guest. We don't even know why, I think, anymore. Like, I've lost track of why, but I know
He's
it's
our white
important.
whale.
He is our white whale.
Yeah.
So, Erin, do you know the hashtag that we're trying to get going?
Yeah, hashtag come on, Carrie.
Hashtag come on, Carrie. Hashtag
Thank
come
you.
on the show, Carrie. Come on, you know? Hashtag come on, Carrie. So,
Carrie.
so yeah, if you're a friend of the pod and a friend of the Elways, please link them two together. Okay. Without any further ado, maybe we can get a couple summaries of these movies so people know what we're talking about. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I got to level with you guys. I actually don't have any summaries prepared this week, and it's because I couldn't tell you what the fuck the plot was of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And I tried to think about like some kind of cohesive through line that I could turn into an intro, and nothing happened. So sorry everyone, but I got nothing this week.
I give you permission if you want to give it a go when you get to it. Like if you could do Fear and Loathing, maybe do you have one for What Happens in Vegas by any chance?
No.
Did you get
I have
because
nothing,
Fear and
He
Loathing.
encountered the first problem and gave up.
and was
It's-
like,
it's-
Fear and Loathing stumped me, and I was like, there's no point in doing just one, so I didn't either.
Guys, I broke Dan.
You
Sorry.
broke me. It's
I
okay.
think we've been
Dan,
trying to
Okay.
do
It was-
for
It was a long time coming.
episodes.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we should just do like an ad lib. I think it could be a mess in a wonderful way. What do we think? Is that a dumb idea?
Yeah,
or a good idea?
absolutely.
Sean, do you think you could hack one out for What Happens in Vegas?
What happens in Vegas? Yes, I sure
Yeah.
can.
Okay.
Doofus number one meets Doofus number one needs to wise up and be more of a man in his life. Doofus number two needs to realize that she doesn't need the stick so far up her ass. They meet up in Vegas and they get married, oopsie doopsie, and then he wins $3 million. But a judge tells them they have to stay married for 6 months, otherwise none of them get the money. And then movie happens and ends. They fall in love.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I feel like for Fear and Loathing, if we could just like groan and make weird sounds for like a few seconds. So yeah, and then in the blue corner, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which goes then I knew it's a movie. But wait, how long has it been a movie since we've been here? I'm not sure. Can't turn my back on him. Can't turn my back on him. That's pretty much the summary of that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Joke
was
noises.
probably more interesting, too. No,
Whoa now. I feel like we're coming down really hard on both of them as a general, but thanks.
Wow. Yeah, there will be positives and negatives to both these movies. So I say
Will there, Jack?
there
Yes, there
will
will.
be. Yes, there will.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So
Can't wait to
without-
hear the positives.
I think I have some. I have next to no notes for Fear and Loathing, to be honest. Like,
I
saying,
couldn't take any.
tons.
Like
I couldn't
wrote a
take
couple
any
of things,
notes.
but it's the similar problem. I was just like, I was just like, that was wild. So without any further ado, then let's just jump right in. So, round one, story good?
Well, I'm dying to hear Sean's opinion on the story of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Well, there isn't a story. There's no cohesive story as we would understand it from a typical 3-act plot structure for a film, because it is a movie sourced almost exclusively from the ramblings of Hunter S. Thompson. So it is an acid trip unto itself, and it's trying to evoke that. It's more of a It's more of a film that is attempting to evoke a feeling rather than tell a story.
For sure. It seems to make a point of not having a story.
Yeah.
If you're an hour into that movie and you're still wondering what the story is, you're
stop
watching the
looking for
movie wrong. Like, you know?
I did turn to Sean at one point and I was like, has there been an inciting incident? And like kind of when they do their little flashback about why they've gone to Vegas, like I guess that counts, but then after that I was like, no, there's no point in
it was
following this.
I was astounded that the inciting incident was shown as a flashback of events that had already happened. I thought that was fascinating as a structural story structure thing. You know what I'm saying.
Of them getting the phone call from the little person, or like brought by the waiter at the other hotel in LA. Dan's looking consternated.
He is, or maybe he's frozen.
Sorry. No, I'm here. I was confused by what you just said. You thought it was fascinating that the inciting incident was a flashback of events that already happened.
Yeah.
As opposed to a flashback of what, I guess, is what I'm confused.
No,
by.
sorry. That like an inciting incident isn't usually a flashback. Ignore the end of that sentence.
Yeah,
okay, fair.
Yeah, ignore the redundancy of flashback of something that already happened. Yeah.
Right.
In fact, I think there's something funny about it that like the movie is so against having a story that whenever there becomes like this, like almost like ongoing, almost joke, one of the few like maybe jokes, so like a bit of the movie, that whenever they come across one of the characters they've seen before, they panic and like frantically they freak out and drive away because it might like lead to a development. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good point.
They see Tobey Maguire again and their immediate response is to go like Johnny Depp freaks out and flies. And same thing when they run into Molly again, the young
Lucy.
woman, the girl, Lucy.
Yeah.
I feel like they call her different things. Christina Ricci, right? Is that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh man, the cameos in this movie are
Cameron Diaz in both films.
Cameron Diaz. Aaron, so next level.
I didn't even know when I chose them.
Right. Nice. Sure you didn't.
I swear I didn't.
Crafty. Very crafty. The real link of these two movies, Cameron Diaz Las Vegas movies.
Well, I was like, I wonder if if the movie writers of What Happens in Vegas are smart enough to like throw a little callback in there. No. I looked for one. They're not smart.
There was nothing smart in that story.
No.
In What Happens in Vegas?
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that it wasn't entirely crafted by putting a series of like words on a mat and then letting a cat like jump around on it.
It's fascinating. We have these two extremes here. We have What Happens in Vegas, which was clearly written by like a 9th grade drama class collectively. And then we have Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which is written by a like doctoral philosophy student who's experimenting into mushrooms for the first time. It seems like.
Yeah.
Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah.
Wasn't a lot of the stuff in the original book autobiographical? Like, wasn't he known for his excessive drug use and party lifestyle?
They call him Thompson when they bring the telegram out. He's like, it's weird. It was addressed to Mr. Thompson. Do you know anything about that?
Right.
So,
well, and you thought at one point that Hunter S. Thompson was in it when he passes someone by,
he is at the table in one of the casinos.
That was him, right? When he was like, "Oh, that's me."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's him.
What?
Yeah, remember when he's like, I
yeah.
see myself there, and it's an older version of him. It's just Hunter S. Thompson.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So, like, you can't describe Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas in, as we kind of said, in any sort of story context. There are just moments that happen. There are just things that happen and things that are unexplained, and time is really weird.
But if you have, I mean, you can describe it if you have any experience with hard drugs in any capacity. You can explain the movie as like a drug, an anecdote from a drug trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that was my way into this movie, is the fact that I've never done mescaline or acid or whatever you just said.
Square.
Yeah, I know. I'm so lame.
Loser.
But I've done a bunch of mushrooms and smoked a ton of pot. So, and I've had moments, and there was the moment where Benicio del Toro is having like the freak out in the bathtub and wants his buddy to throw the toaster in the bathtub. I've never been like quite that fucked, but I've been pretty close. So there's a lot of like memories.
I've seen you do that sober, you know?
I mean, I like to party.
Joke.
What's that? That's a dark joke.
That's a dark joke.
This is a dark podcast.
Sorry.
No, that's it. My comment was done. That would be the only way that you can describe this movie, is just if you were like telling somebody about a crazy drug trip you had.
So you're saying you haven't quite had the level of hallucination where the bedazzled bar that you're in turns into a reptile blood orgy.
No,
humanoids.
but the
Reptile.
moment
So
before that in the lobby where the designs on the carpet are moving and the woman's face is kind of changing shape, I've had that before.
Yeah, it's like a pretty classic thing that I've heard a lot of people talk about in terms of like stronger hallucinogenic trips, right?
Yeah.
But that
Yeah,
reptile scene was fucking crazy. Sorry, go ahead, Erin.
No, your reptile scene. Ugh. I think that was, we just started laughing and we're like, oh, this is going to be the movie. But I was going to say, like, story-wise, there was really only one moment where I was like, okay, that's the story. And it's like the story of America coming down from like a decade of free love and a war that no one wanted to fight. And then it's just like running away from all of that. And just like the fact that doing, an amount of drugs that would give me, and almost did give me, a panic attack when I was watching the movie because of like too many drugs.
Yeah.
Like that is actually preferable to, Vietnam and being in America and like going through that journey is preferable.
So on record, you are against the war in Vietnam.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, hot
Bold
take,
stance.
Erin.
Hot take, right?
Yeah.
I know.
What do you have against being a patriot? Okay. I know what you mean, though. There's that surprisingly sober moment that really does feel like it comes out of nowhere, where he gives that nice little, like, because Johnny Depp voices over a bunch in this movie.
Yeah.
There's that speech where he talks about, like, when you're at a high... It's right from... Yeah, is it from the book?
Pretty much,
It has to be, right? Where he's like, wait, if you're at a high enough point in Las Vegas and you look out, you can see the watermark where the wave broke and receded. Talking about the wave of hippiedom, I guess.
Yeah, I've got the full quote here that I pulled just because that point in the movie was kind of the most effective because it was so resonant with, I think, at least how I feel right now, and I think how a lot of our generation feels right now, where he says, there was a fantastic universal sense that whatever we were doing was right and that we were winning. And I think that there was a sense of inevitable victory over the forces of old and evil, not in a military sense. We didn't need that. Our energy would simply prevail. There was no point in fighting. We all had the momentum. We were riding the crest of a high and beautiful wave. So now you can go up on a steep hill in Las Vegas, look west, and you can almost see the high water mark, that place where the wave finally broke and rolled back. And when he narrated that, I shivered because full on, like, that's what we're going through right now.
Yeah, it actually made me want to read the book, which I really didn't think I would want to. By the end of the movie, I had no interest in reading the book because I didn't really want to go through that again. But that one passage, I was like, damn, I get why this is a classic. I can get it.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how difficult of a read that book would be, though. It must be just like complete nonsense for most of it.
Yeah, and puke stains.
Just no punctuation.
Yeah, I would imagine it's quite stream of consciousness that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
the moment when Benicio del Toro is trying to get the maid out of the hotel room and is just covered in puke all in his beard.
Oh man. Oh,
beautiful.
The amount of puking Benicio del Toro does is
Yeah, I think what I struggled with this movie too, though, is like something I struggle with a lot of like classics from, I mean, this is from the 90s, but other classics from the 70s when this is set in the 70s, right?
Yeah, 71.
Yeah.
Is especially when there isn't any through line and there isn't any story. It's just that why the heck am I supposed to care about these people? Like, what is like, if Johnny Depp wasn't being Johnny Depp and like, you know, Terry Gilliam hadn't created a really beautifully, I know we'll talk about it later, but designed movie, it would just like, I don't care. I really don't care about them and their story. And like, it just makes me angry to see people like running amok like that, just tearing through places, being the worst. And it's just like, and I have to follow them for 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because there was that really effective scene when they pull up in the car next to the old people in their like little sedan. And what are they doing in their car? Are they just like goofing around and like drinking? And
Benicio was yelling at them.
Oh yeah,
Screaming
Benicio's
at them.
yelling. He's screaming.
He's yelling at them, and they're like in a cab. They're both like in the back of this cab, and he's like just screaming.
So, but isn't there another one? Is that the same one where the old people start like just screaming right back and like
the guy does,
foaming at the mouth? Yeah,
he's like, "I'll kill you! I'll kill you!"
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
How quickly that scene to me spoke to like how quickly when norms are broken, societally accepted norms, like when you're in your car, you just drive and you don't look at any other people, and you don't, even though he's being abusive to them. As soon as that rule is broken, they just get so pissed off and want to kill them.
I mean, they are drugged out of their minds and driving and putting everyone around them in danger. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I also wondered for a lot of this movie how much of what we're seeing through their eyes is actually even happening that way.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. I think Sean brought that up too.
Yeah. How much like anything was really real at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For all we know, like, odds are they probably arrived, got too fucking drunk and stoned, and then just passed out in their hotel room for three incoherent days. And he wrote this book. Like,
who knows, right? I think I maybe I resonate with a bit of what you're saying, Sean, if I'm on the same track here, which is the funny way where Johnny Depp kind of becomes like how he is the hero of this movie still, is that he is like this, he's like a ball, he is like this ball of chaos, but not in the same way that Del Toro is, right? Like Del Toro is like the dark side of the same person almost.
Yeah.
Where it seems more violent and it seems more destructive, where like Johnny Depp's character is never trying. I don't remember too many times other than
he's
like
more calculated.
He's more calculated, but it just seems like he's doing more of what you're saying, where he's just going into spaces where they're like, these are the rules. And he's like, rules? What are rules? Huh? And just like goes around and that's like, like messes it all up a bit. And there's something that is satisfying about that. And there's something like, I don't know, that I don't like, part of me goes, oh, I think there is a place for that. Maybe not like this, but
especially because in 71, when Hunter is living these things, he's also largely doing them to people who 3 years before were on the same wavelength as him and were experiencing society the same way and were rebelling against the status quo the same way. And then just like 3 years later, how many of them had just become normies, and there he is left surrounded by that.
Yeah.
There is that one part where he gets super dark though, and he starts talking about like gang raping Lucy and selling her to people.
Yeah, where did that come from?
That was really messed up.
It's a horrible like he's joking, but it's he's trying to it's a bad joke. Yes. He's trying to show Del Toro that he's crossed a line and that he's fucked up hard, and they need to they need to see that, or they'll go down this route because why not? We've already crossed that line.
I guess that's true, because Benicio has already crossed the line, obviously, with this person. So I can buy that.
So so Sean, you're saying that he was like, well, you've already gone this far, so I guess now we have to pimp her out. Like,
we might as well.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, we might as well keep her cracked out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can agree with that.
It's still super dark.
Yes. Yes, it's very dark. That's when the movie definitively goes like, oh, okay, I think we've had enough now.
Yeah, and then they give you the last 30 minutes just to
That hotel room.
just to make
Oh
you
my God.
squirm.
That's my hell. That hotel room is my literal hell.
All of them, all the hotel rooms become hellish. Okay, so speaking of hellish, though, maybe we can find a bit more form in the story of what happens in Vegas. So as we already touched on, it's a bit of a masterpiece, a bit of an unknown gem that we didn't know existed. And of course, I'm being very facetious. This movie is one of the worst scripts I've ever heard.
It's not good.
Yeah, it was really bad. Erin, had you seen either of these movies before you recommended them?
I have seen What Happens in Vegas now 3 times.
Get out of here!
What? How has that even happened? How have you allowed yourself to watch that movie 3 times?
I think because it is so forgettable that I just end up forgetting how bad it is. And I'm like, I'll throw this on for like a fun romp. Like, I throw on like, Ashton Kutcher's in No Strings Attached or Friends with Benefits, like one of those movies with what's her face?
Mila.
Mila is with Justin Timberlake. He is with
Padme.
Oh, Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman. Thank you. And like that's a movie. Again, I think it's one that I would throw on and be like, oh, I always forget how bad it is. But I still throw them on, and that's why.
Well, because this one you're like, okay, Ashton Kutcher, like he's good at what he does, and Cameron Diaz, she's great, and look at that, we have Rob Corddry, he's funny, okay, and we have Zach Galifianakis,
Lake Bell is there.
Lake Bell, Lake Bell's
sure.
fun. So it's a cast that, with material, should be producing something watchable.
And Queen Latifah.
And Queen Latifah's there.
Right.
Thank God for Queen Latifah in this
Thank
movie,
you.
by the way. Thank God for Queen Latifah.
Yeah.
And Dennis, the judge, whatever. Dennis.
Dennis Miller.
Dennis
We'll
Miller
talk about
is
him
the
later, but
judge.
I loved Dennis Miller. I could watch that scene 100 times.
Yeah.
It's a movie where they try to like shove in some kind of, I don't know, moral. Is that like, is there supposed to be like, don't treat your kids like garbage and like,
I think the moral is like never give up, like improving yourself. Never like feel like you're locked into where you are right now. I
guess so.
I think.
I think it's if you're forced to be around the same person long enough, you can love anybody.
You'll get married. Yeah.
It's essentially it's just like, don't be too tight, don't be too loose, be mild porridge in the middle.
Yeah. And also, can someone tell me how old Ashton Kutcher, like how old is this person supposed to be? And her, I guess, but how old are they supposed to be?
I would imagine Kutcher is supposed to be like young 30s.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Because there's
my
a line
guess.
that says it's time to cut the cord, and that is just not good. I thought even if he was like above the age of 24, then there's a bigger problem in this movie, and it's
he's
that,
definitely
like,
supposed to be that older than that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think the issue is exactly that. Yeah, I think it's that like he's gone past the point of relying on daddy for his work and needs
I would
to.
think so.
What I was wondering too was how much is his dad fucking paying him for that job? Because his apartment is a pigsty, but for New York, that place is
it's
dope.
huge.
Cameron Diaz walks in and she's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I could live here. It's like, it's a big ass place on the top floor of this building, next to Brooklyn Bridge with exposed brick walls and like a cool bar set up.
And this movie misses a lot of. And a Murphy bed. This movie misses a lot of opportunities to be funny in situations like a situational comedy should be, and having him live in a like tiny bachelor unit that like is a bathroom and barely a kitchen and then like enough for a sofa. That's where the comedy comes.
That
from
would have made
movie.
so much more sense.
Yeah.
Oh, it would have been much better, but instead they went the route of like, let's just be as hostile to one another as possible because that's funny, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. It turns out it's just not.
And hostile in ways that are completely fucked. I have to. I just like. I don't know. It's like, look, if it's a first draft and you're like, yeah, maybe he puts his hand down his pants and he rubs it in her popcorn, like that is a seriously problematic thing to do to someone.
Also, I know that guys can be gross sometimes, but I've never ever wanted to eat popcorn out of my own sweaty boxers.
No.
Like that crosses every line in the book.
Yeah.
For me, not even for like the person that I'm trying to offend.
This whole movie portrays men as like dumb apes who are just like gross, like yeah, like haha, like look at the girl.
Well, what about the timeless scene? The comedic cornerstone of this film, when he comes in to his couples therapy,
Yeah, I know
and
what
he
you're gonna say.
pretends like she's beating him up. I just laughed,
Yeah.
I was like,
That-
what? The spousal abuse joke made the cut? They had no
Yeah.
other material they could work in, that they were like, let's do this.
Yeah, and like it definitely like it does portray men like that, and then on the flip side, it's like, oh, and this woman is just like a stuck-up bitch who's shrill and awful, and like no one could ever love her. So like it's like the two most lazy tropes you could
Yep. Yeah.
possibly think of for like gender dynamics, and they were like, check, done. So funny, right?
and how can we sneak our clear homophobic, like just latent sneaking homophobia
man.
into as many scenes as possible here?
The whole thing, that first scene in the hotel room is brutal. When like,
Okay.
oh no, they're gay. Because he has a pink boa. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, these people are gay, and they're like, oh, good, that means we're safe.
That means
And
they're
then-
not coming to attack us in our hotel room.
Also, is that how you would react if like it's so over the top, and I literally wrote down, I was like, that's not how people would react if a stranger was in their room. Like, at least that's not how I would react, whether I was in the shower or not. I'm gonna just maybe assume that was an honest mistake, but that's not funny. It's only funny if you scream for like upwards of 2 minutes straight.
Wasn't there another moment where someone was kind of hinting at Cameron Diaz or something about her being gay, and she was like,
Yeah.
no.
She, I think maybe that.
No, it was her with Chonger,
Yeah.
whatever her name was.
Chong. Yeah.
Chong.
No, well,
Not the co-worker.
The
Yeah,
boss calls her Chonger because he's a
Okay.
horrible asshole.
because he's a douche. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Chong says, because I eat girls like you for breakfast or something to Cameron
Yeah.
Diaz, and Cameron Diaz is like, oh, you eat girls, and Chong's like, oh no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And then
And
with
then-
the other friend too, he's
Oh.
like, oh, this is just my lesbian sister who loves
Right.
to talk about softball. And you're
Yeah.
like, again, so lazy.
Stereotypes. And then when the judge when he has this great line, it's not the gays that are ruining marriage, it's you people.
That was like, I thought, like a pro though, like a pro for the queer
Sure, but
community,
I-
a little
like,
bit. And then they
it's
ruined it
very
with the rest of
2000.
the movie.
Yeah, it was very 2008. Let's leave it there.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the judge, because this is something that needs to be addressed in terms of the story of this movie that was as outlandish as anything that I saw in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which is that so the premise very quickly of them both sort of co-winning this jackpot in Vegas after they got married drunkenly the night before. And so they go to this judge about how they each want it or whatever. This movie's really about greed. They literally finish and end on money also, which is lame. But they go to the judge, and the judge decrees that they shall live together for 6 months, and they must try and have a happy marriage. Otherwise, no one gets the money, which is a level of godlike power, of kingly power, that you can't make people live together. You can't say you must try this marriage. It was completely insane, and that's the whole premise of the movie. It's
Yeah, but the
totally
movie-
bonkers.
But is a judge allowed to refuse a divorce request? Like, is the judge allowed to put in certain stipulations to say you must meet these requirements before I allow you to get divorced? Because you have to like apply and like go to court and like pay for it. Like it's a whole process. You can't just say we're divorced and now it's done, right?
Yeah.
No, like there are rules in place. Like I believe you have to be separated for 2 years if it isn't anything like adultery, or like there's other like rules that you can't break. Like if someone is abusive, then you can divorce right away. But I think if everything is fine and it's amicable, you still have to be separated for a period of time to prove that you no longer want to be together. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I've never.
No,
looked
you
that
have to
up,
separate for like at least a year for sure.
but- Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then you get
Seems like
divorced
a long
after that.
time.
I think
Well,
that the
it's
ninth
a
graders,
contract.
the ninth graders that wrote this film are ecstatic that we're talking about their plot device this long.
Great. Well,
We got him.
Charlie,
Yeah.
Rebecca, congratulations.
What did he put in her smoothie that made her go a little nuts?
I think it was
I
just
thought it was
straight
going to
up
be
speed.
laxatives. Oh,
Yeah, me too. I thought it was laxatives, but
Oh, I
I
missed
think I think it was like caffeine pills or something. When he
Oh,
what?
and I've watched this twice before.
no, go ahead. Explain it.
Well, it was supposed to, they talked about, they were trying, that was a point in the movie when they realize, as you say, Aaron, the caveat of like, if one of them commits adultery, then they can break off the marriage and they'll get all the money. And so they start trying to set each other up in these situations. And that was probably one of the better parts of the movie. The
Sure.
whole like party sequence is like, it's dumb, but at least it was kind of like fun. Like I was at least going, this is kind of a fun scene.
Well, except for the fact that it's her plan to send a bunch of women to the house to seduce him so that she can catch him cheating on her. But then as soon as he brings attractive men into the house, she suddenly goes on the hunt for a man and
They ignore her.
gets shut, and they ignore her, and she feels rejected and gets shut down. But that seems backwards to me.
Yeah.
That seems like a
It
big
is.
flaw. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Yes, you are
Yeah, it's
correct.
dumb. You're correct.
It's
So anyway, but
almost as if
yeah.
no thought went into this movie at all.
It's like, I guess it's a lot of like, well, I guess this can happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
sure.
That could, yeah, I
Why
guess
not?
that could happen. Sure. Like even
Yeah.
like I made that actual note where like near the end of the movie, there's a arbitrary thing about trying to make each other late for their marriage, counseling session. And so he like steals her wallet and then she's in a cab, she doesn't have money, so she's stuck. And then she shows him her boob to keep driving, and then there's traffic, and then he's on a skateboard, and then she gets out and she has some money now and she buys some oranges or apples and she throws apples at him. And I'm like, at this point, sure. Oh yeah, that can happen. Yeah, and then she has apples.
We're in
Whatever. What the fuck you want? Just keep doing
There.
keep doing shit.
Yeah, and the only reason we're supposed to care about these people in this movie is because they're hot. Like that's their only redeeming quality is the
They're
fact
pretty
that
hot,
they're
though.
attractive.
Yeah,
So
very
they're
hot.
like, you care, right? Because you know they're
Everyone's-
going to hook up.
Yeah.
Very hot in this. Even Rob Corddry. I mean,
Especially Rob Corddry.
no.
And they
I would
get
say
progressively
only Rob
hotter
Corddry.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, Ashton loses all of his like terrible man-child clothing by the end of it and has this like perfectly tailored suit that he definitely couldn't afford. And you're like, what?
The best part at the end when she comes down and she's in her evening dress with her hair done, and he's at the bar, and she says, "Oh, I guess you do look pretty good when you're
clean
all
up.
done. When you clean up well." And his hair is just slicked back with like water. It looks like his suit is not well fitting. It's kind of like askew at the call. I don't know what they were going for with this shot, but it didn't work.
I mean, I gotta disagree a bit. The Kutch looks pretty great in this movie.
Yeah,
he
you
looked
look dapper
pretty
as
This
fuck.
is pretty.
I liked
pretty.
him before that scene. I thought he was a hunk with his flowing late 2000s locks.
Well,
But
because he looks just like you, Sean.
yeah,
He's got the casual wear.
You do have a bit of the
luscious
Kutch going
locks.
on, Sean.
thank you.
This
See,
is
and what's funny about that comment is that I've been told by people that Sean looks like Toby Maguire.
Which-
yeah.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
Toby
I can see
Maguire
that too.
in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is
Yeah.
identical to my driver's license from 16.
Yeah,
It's-
except you don't have a skullet.
well,
Skullet. Oh my barf. Oh man.
Oh, they're just bad people. It's bad people in this movie. Bad hot people who get progressively hotter and slightly less bad.
but didn't
So
you
I
like
think-
the part where she's like, it's clear they're gonna maybe end up, they just need a reason to fall in love, and she sees him with a child and decides that it's forever, it's love,
Yeah.
I rolled my eyes so hard at that moment, and then I looked
So
over
did
at
I.
Marisa. I looked over at Marisa, and she's like, if you see a guy who knows how to be around kids, you know he has his shit together. And I was like, fuck you.
Fuck
Also,
that.
we already
Fuck
know
that.
this man does not have his shit together. Like we've been shown that for the
No.
entirety of the movie.
But he gets
Yeah.
a Deus Ex niece to come in and save him from his own foibles.
Anyone can look like they're good with kids when it's a niece that you can give back.
Yeah.
Like, not hard to look like it. All you got to do is just like play on a playground and they're like, he's the best.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, do a silly voice or like juggle for a second. Yeah, kids will think you're great.
And tell her
them
all
you're
your
a millionaire.
secrets. Yeah.
Yeah, why
I
are
don't
you
keep any
confiding
secrets. I think you should.
Why are you
should.
confiding in a child, you freak?
Yeah. Don't put that shit on her. She's got her own
Seriously.
stuff to deal with.
Oh man.
I was also confused by the timeline of this movie.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
You're welcome. Because they are given 6 months.
Yes, I made a note of this.
Yeah, and I would expect that in 6 months, a lot of stuff would happen, and we would kind of like watch them slowly grow to love each other.
Maybe the seasons would change.
Maybe the seasons would change.
6 months of summer. Apparently.
Suddenly, there's a week left, and nothing has changed, and I'm like, where the fuck where'd the time go? And also, what about like developing this movie at all?
Yeah.
Why give it 6 months if you're gonna do nothing in 6 months?
And also, why does none of it except the first, the like first little bit of the movie happen in Vegas?
Well, because it was paid for by Vegas, I'm sure. It was an ad.
Yeah, but that's the only part that's there. I was expecting more Vegas from my movie about Vegas.
I kind
It's
of
also a terrible ad for Vegas. Let's be real.
Was it?
Come to Vegas and ruin your life.
No,
I mean, isn't that
find
what
true
people
love.
do?
In the end, it was great.
$3 million.
In the end, it was great.
Yeah,
You're gonna
you
win
made
some
$3
money.
million.
You're gonna marry
Well,
Cameron Diaz or Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
You know, like go to Vegas.
That's true.
I did
true.
enjoy it. It'll be the acting. I'll bring it up in the
That's why
acting.
even they like Zach Galifianakis. Is that what you're gonna talk about?
Yeah.
Like that's your wife. She's so hot. And they're like, pick a side, pick a side. And he's like, hers,
what is wrong
hers,
with you?
hers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, why is he the best part of this movie? I know we'll talk about it later, but
Yeah,
like,
we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, so I totally agree. The timeline was they biffed it. And then I feel like they also biffed the end of the movie. With these movies, the final scene should be a slam dunk. Even in a shitty movie, you should feel a bit like touched. And it feels like a wet fart.
yes.
It's just like he finds her in the lighthouse. He goes on the beach.
Oh, you
He's a dumb
found
little
me.
like
You
walk
found
away
me.
joke. And then Moo just kind of goes like, and then it
But then
fades
they're
out from them.
kissing.
And
Yeah.
they're like, good thing we got $3 million. Fades to black. And I was like, what?
The 12-year-olds had to go on summer break, and they left the script in the classroom, so the drama teacher had to finish it up, and he
And he didn't care about it at all.
he
Yeah,
was like,
clearly.
this steamer, woof. I also his main philosophy when he's bearing one of his secrets, he tells her that if you stop betting, you never have to lose. And that's why he never takes a chance on himself. But it's also why he never rolls dice, because he's afraid of gambling with his own life, so he doesn't play betting games. It was dumb.
I mean, he
Was
bet
that a-
on his job, didn't he?
Did
At
he?
the beginning.
Yeah, with the basketball game.
The
Oh,
basketball
that
game
thing.
is
Right.
a
yeah.
bet.
So right there, they're negating their own character foil.
Lazy.
Yeah.
How much did we enjoy the boss saying, you're like a son to me, and then he goes, Dad, you are my father.
Oh, bad.
He's like, I've been like a father to you.
Yeah.
And he goes, Dad, you are my father.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, ha, ha, ha. You wrote a joke and needed to cram it in there somehow.
One of the better
Was that supposed to be a joke?
Oh, yes.
From the
I
writers.
I thought it was just an expository line, so we knew
It
that they
is,
were
but
related.
it's supposed to be a joke, right? It's
Yeah.
supposed to be like,
whoops.
oh, his dad's firing him. What?
Whoops.
Oh,
What? This
Yeah, I
is
guess
how we
you're
find
not
out?
supposed to know it's the dad, but I knew
Yeah.
that because I've watched this.
because you've seen it twice before.
I knew that as soon as they hit the basketball court.
Yeah.
It didn't
Oh, I
make
did not.
any sense. You didn't know?
No, I just thought this movie was stupid.
You just thought the guy was
I
a
knew
terrible
like
boss?
right away. I felt like.
Yeah.
You were right.
Also, my question in this movie was, how long had she been standing on that beach in front of the lighthouse before he found her?
Days.
Probably
Like
days,
days.
right?
She is
Yeah.
parched.
She was camping there.
You can't drink that
Hasn't
water.
eaten.
She made a point. She did make a point of saying when she told the story of going there that she took a ferry. She said like 30 kilometers east
So you took a boat. You took a boat into the ocean.
What ferry is going through anyway? So she took, so that means she definitely was there for at least like several hours while he went back to his apartment. He got the framed photo. He found the right ferry. He said that he went to a bunch of them. So it is sunset when it's ending. So she was there all day.
Is it ever?
It's very sunset. Also, the reasoning of why they go to Vegas for each one of them is dumb. There's a lot of really dumb stuff in this movie.
But are people like that? Like, do people make those decisions like on a whim to just be like, yeah, let's go to Vegas? I mean, I know she bought tickets.
Yep.
Like, she bought tickets for her
people with
husband
disposable income.
Beyonce that clearly like hated her, so I don't know why she was with him.
Yeah.
And planning on marrying him, but she bought them for a gift, so that makes sense. But yeah, like he doesn't have any money. Why does he go to Vegas?
I've heard of people doing that. I knew people that got like cut from school and I think went to Vegas. I feel like we know someone who did that.
I think Vegas, I've heard, is actually pretty cheap to like go to and stay in. It's just you can put a lot of money there. Yeah, exactly. Right. But I imagine that Vegas is just full of people who are there on a whim.
Yeah, and they go for a night or something, or they go for 2 nights. You know, they go down and they
party.
Go full hedonism.
They do 3 hangover movies and then they get out of town.
Yeah. You do the classic slide along the bar, fall off the bar, everyone gasps, stand up and scream, everyone goes, yay, you know.
That was for the trailer, obviously.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That whole montage was for the trailer.
It's like, psych, it's going to be in New York.
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, I think that's about enough as we can say. Let's carry on, shall we? So let's say end of round. So let's move into our second round. Looks good. Begin. That's how I cue for the sound effects. It's working really well.
It's going really well. I like that you kind of slightly bite your bottom lip as you do it.
I'm going to start
I'm not sure if
miming.
you're like a bear attacking somebody or what's happening there.
I'm going to start miming like a ding, ding, ding. Is it 2 or 3?
Ding, ding.
I think it's 3.
2. It's
Ding,
3.
ding, ding.
I'm going to mime 6.
Okay. And you just fill it in.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas looks great.
Thank you, Erin.
It's a great looking movie. I have nothing really to say. Like, I mean, it looks disgusting a lot of the time because there's so much garbage and puke and everything all over the place. But like, check on costumes, check on like just the way every shot is set up is just like I really love looking at this movie.
Yeah, I would agree. What I will say is that because the general aesthetic tone of the movie is so overwhelming, I needed the movie to be like an hour shorter than it was.
At least like half an hour. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Because it's kind of nauseating. Like the use of the camera, how it's lit, the design of the rooms and stuff. It makes you just kind of feel like your head is spinning a little bit. And I agree, Dan, the length of time, it's like that, you know, classic kind of high cinema idea of like, this trip is inescapable, right? Like, you know, if you do acid, you're stuck in it for hours. And so you will be stuck in this movie for hours. You know, it'd be great to have a little taste, a little 30, 45 minute, like, whoa, that's crazy. But no, it's 2 hours. Like,
do you guys know Terry Gilliam's work at all? The director of this film?
No.
Not well.
Other movie, Time Bandits, Brazil. We'll see other of his movies in this podcast, but he also did all the illustrations and artwork for Monty Python.
Okay, so I didn't realize it was the same person. I was like, that sounds like Monty Python, but I don't want to sound like a dumbass on the podcast.
Yeah, that guy. So. Like a lot of the visual aesthetic and all of the costumes and stuff, where you can drag and drop right from his aesthetic from all the illustrations in Monty Python.
Yeah.
He also, I was reading he changed the lighting styles and how they set up shots depending on what drugs they were currently experiencing. So everything has its own, like, the reason it is so nauseating is because you're going from like different aesthetic look to different aesthetic look depending on what high they're going through.
Well,
Yeah.
I was so impressed. Like, it was unbelievable how successful they were at replicating the experience of these drugs.
Mhm.
Like, again, like there's a lot of drugs in this movie I've never done before, but there's a lot that I have, and it was like almost trauma inducing.
Yeah.
It was
because they did them all.
Totally. Well, and I also heard, this could be wrong, that Johnny Depp spent like a chunk of time with Hunter S. Thompson
Living
just
at his
doing
ranch.
Yeah, just doing a bunch of drugs with him to like get ready for this movie, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they became really good friends afterwards.
Well, and I wonder too, like if they're like, who are they making this movie for? They're not making it for people who are going to do a bunch of drugs and sit down and watch the movie because they know that that's what it's going to be. And so, like, are they trying to recreate that experience or like put the people watching it through hell if they're on an acid trip?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've never done
too.
any of those drugs before, so.
Because my, like, I think I've seen parts of this movie, and I say I think because I have like very foggy memories of it. I think I've watched this movie once, like years ago, and my impulse right away was to get as high as I could to watch it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a really good question. I don't know if they're making it for people who are going to be on drugs, or if they're making it for like the sober person who they're trying to like show what this experience would be like.
I have a feeling it's more made just because it is such a staple of 20th century literature that the fact that there hadn't been a movie made, they just were like, we need to put this and we need to make it with these people. Terry Gilliam picked up, like, he had to rewrite the script like the week before it started because he was really the production of this film is really chaotic, and the studio didn't really want Gilliam, so they never actually like signed him to any full contract until like the very last minute. Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, but it's incredible. It's like looking at, a Salvador Dali
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
It's just
Very surreal.
Really
Yeah.
wanted to get in on that reptile
Oh yeah.
party.
yeah, and just when how it was
did seem
combined,
fun, didn't it?
Yeah.
they don't seem like they're unhappy. Those reptiles.
That's true.
It's they're having a great
Throw
time.
a human in there though, might be unhappy.
But like combined with the narration that he does over top of it, where he's sometimes speaking and it's kind of narration, it's kind of both. Where in that scene also first like the floor starts to kind of turn to muck. He's like, we gotta get some golf shoes. Can't walk around in this muck. And you're like, what? But it's so effective, like all of it put together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I was so impressed, and yet it's also so hard to watch.
Yeah.
Del Toro is a monster in this movie.
Yes.
He's a monster.
Yeah, I think the only time I didn't like what they were creating was when Benicio turned into Del Diablo, and when he's tripping
Oh
on
my
the
God.
adrenochrome, when Johnny Depp's tripping on the adrenochrome, and he turns into the devil. That
was my
really
favorite
cheap.
part. That was my favorite part of the entire film.
Yeah, well, it suddenly became very cheap looking, but obviously they were going for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that it was also because by that point in the film, everything felt a little repetitive, and finally something new and far more extreme was happening. So it kind of recaptured my attention, maybe.
Yeah.
And also hairy back boobs. I mean, who doesn't love those?
Yeah. Oh yeah. What does he say? Oh, are those your breasts?
He's like, oh, six breasts. And he's like, yeah. It's just,
I also think like I love the Southwest. Like if I didn't want to not ever go to the States ever again, I would love to go and visit Death Valley and like Arizona and all those places. Like where Breaking Bad is shot and everything too.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it's impossible to make that look bad. So whenever he's setting up shots where they're driving through the desert, they're always going to look amazing. But he just like does so much more with it, I guess, because he's Terry Gilliam. But hard to make Death Valley look bad.
Well, I wonder what Happens in Vegas did to that. Oh, they didn't show it. Okay, yeah, right.
No. Nothing. Like all I wrote for my note for this movie was, "It's fine. Who cares? No thought went into this."
Yeah.
Like you're in Vegas and you barely even show the city skyline and like the lights and stuff. Like, how are you missing?
They didn't even
that?
show the creepy carnival circus casino interior, which we got a bunch of in Fear and
Yeah.
Loathing.
I mean,
Back and
they
forth, we
used
went
all the
across
footage
there.
for Fear and Loathing, and they didn't have it left over for what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the best part about Vegas are all the weird hotels, and you're like, you're not even going to show me like the Luxor. Like, you're not going to show me the Mirage, Caesar's
Oh.
Palace. Like, none
Well,
of that.
they don't
It's
have
just,
the rights to show those buildings.
You
Do you
need
need
rights,
rights
to
to
show,
show
buildings.
buildings?
I don't know. I would imagine that certain buildings
Maybe.
are probably copyrighted as art.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Why did you have
I-
it there then? What's the point? So you can have that title.
I don't know
Ew.
for sure if they are, but
Also,
I would
speaking
imagine.
of hotels, I know this is more doubling back to a story point, but did anybody notice that when they both go down in the morning to complain that they've been double booked in the same room and they're like trying to show off how suave they are with hotel staff,
yeah.
neither one of them actually ever say what the problem that they're complaining
No.
about is?
Correct. Correct. They needed to show that Cameron Diaz was a bitch, and then they needed to show that Ashton Kutcher
Was cool.
It was cool and
was a
suave.
cool guy and
What a cool white
kisses
guy.
ladies in elevators.
He's so cool. Let's give his wife a promotion. We love him. Let's give him an award at a business event that he is not attached to.
Up until 2 days ago, he was not invited to.
As a +1, you get the business award for just being the coolest Ashton Kutcher like
Yeah.
person here.
Jack off, jack off, jack off. They scream.
Yeah. But kind of like Wolf of Wall Street. They kind of predicted that movie a little bit.
Oh, fair.
It's like, don't be serious. Just realize that my name is Dick Banger.
Boy.
Yeah, the looks of what happens in Vegas. What a bland, well, just simply shaped Hallmark card of a movie.
Yeah, it's like, what does fashion look like in, what is it, 2008? This movie
Yeah.
came out. What
Yeah.
does it look like? Let's just put them in clothes we can find at an H&M. Like, who cares?
Let's get a shot of him. He's hitting golf balls super dangerously in this park.
In a populated park.
A populated park. It's definitely super illegal. It's very dangerous. And it's had the Brooklyn Bridge in the background because it's like beautiful. It's
Yeah, we've seen it in movies. We'll put it in
Yeah.
our movie. Then
Sure.
we're one of the movies that has the Brooklyn Bridge in it.
Yeah, they barely even showed New York.
Yeah.
You have two of the most like wild cities in America, and it's just like, yeah, let's just show buildings inside.
Yeah.
I got bored in this film, and I
What?
realized that that looks is probably the category that I know the least about. So I was like, okay, I'll use this bored opportunity to apply myself to this film, and I'll try and look at if they're conveying anything whatsoever. And for like 4.5 minutes, I was just looking at focus of your frame, of what they are putting in frame and what they're trying to highlight with what they're showing. Every single shot for 4.5 minutes, the focus was dead center. There was no shift to play with thirds or anything like that. It was just like, let's follow every bit of action, dead center. There was no imagination in this whatsoever.
Oh, I'll do you one better on the final beach scene when Ashton Kutcher is giving his horrendous monologue. As he's speaking, they cut to like what's supposed to be a powerful reaction shot of Cameron Diaz, and the focus is on the back of Ashton Kutcher's head. She's completely out of focus.
Also, she's expecting him to go there, even though she just chose to break up with him because of like their pranks. I don't get it. Was she supposed to know he was there? I know we're going back to story, but I just don't
We
understand.
can go backsies.
It happens. It's okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, was she expecting him? I don't think she.
Yeah, she left the photograph for him to find. It was she had to know that it was true. Is
Oh my
what I'm
God.
extrapolating because it was not in the script.
When did she leave the photo there? She hadn't been
When she
back to
moved
his
out.
place. But
Didn't she take all her shit?
was there
Yeah.
a scene where she actually moved out, or did they
it's
say
No,
she
but it's
moved out?
implied.
No. Yeah.
We see
Right.
the empty hanger next to the
Yeah.
bed.
So I guess.
But
it
then
is.
there's
She
the
did that on
thing left
purpose.
behind.
And then he knows, we've seen them talk about their secrets, and so he knows that place is where she likes to go. So it's on him to travel across the country and find her for their love to be true.
That makes it real. That's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Was it
real.
across the
That's quite the
country?
gamble.
Well, it's
No,
a few
it's-
states over.
Oh my god!
Few state. I guess it technically might
So
be.
she'd been on that beach forever waiting for him.
Yeah, she was just standing there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But also doesn't even like there's no reaction when he shows up. Like he
No.
creeps up behind her. She doesn't turn around. He's standing there, and then all of a sudden she's like, "He found me," and that's it.
It's because she knew he'd come.
Ugh.
She knew he'd.
It's true love.
It looked like shit. That's my
It did
final,
look like hot
final
garbage.
thought.
It's pretty clean. It's always sunny.
There
It's
was
always a beautiful day in their universe.
there was a moment in the chaotic first hotel room scene where I thought I saw some potential. I thought they were gonna maybe get a bit creative with their shots because like that whole there was actually a couple of shots in there during the chaos that kind of felt a little Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas-esque.
Right.
And then it just flew out the window. So that's all I have to say about looks.
Great.
And no, that's all I got.
That's good. We can just leave it there. Let's
Yeah.
move on. All right. That's the end of the round. So moving on to round number 3. Sounds good? So
I did.
So your
Jack
bear?
there. Yeah.
Daniel put his hands up in bear claws for those listening.
yeah. What were the sounds of Fear and Loathing?
The
Fear
levels
and-
were really off.
The levels were really off, but okay. So I think
It's a bit off. He's too quiet.
he's too quiet. His narration is too loud. I thought was the difference.
Yes,
I thought his
yeah,
narration was
that's
really loud. His dialogue was
interesting.
too quiet. But I think all of the kind of disjointed audio in this movie was also a choice.
Yeah.
Because it kind of also felt
Okay.
like a lot of their dialogue, especially everything in the car, had been ADR'd to
Yeah.
seem just like a little bit disconnected from their
Totally.
body. And so I think that it was actually all just a choice to be just that much more disorienting,
Yeah.
or unsettled, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, me too. Like I've complained about ADR putting me out of a movie completely on this podcast, which this should have done. But also with all the visual shit that was going on while the ADR is happening in the car, it was a really useful effect in my opinion. Yeah.
It had a dope soundtrack. I was into the
It did.
tunes.
Yeah, and unlike what happens in Vegas, both movies are using popular songs to like fill the time. Except Fear and Loathing is using them to convey a mood and a setting, and to convey some kind of understanding of what's happening around them. And what happens in Vegas is playing a Queen song to make you be like, I like Queen.
Mika,
Oh.
yay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also
Yay.
just so on the nose. Like, I had a directing teacher once who, like, if you had ever attempted to play a song at the end of a movie where someone is running back to someone who left them, and one of the main lines in that movie is, I'm not over you yet, he would spit on you and be like, rewrite this. This is horrible. Nobody wants to hear this because they just know what you're thinking. You probably know who that director was. That acting director
Yeah,
was.
probably.
Sean.
Maybe.
Maybe. But yeah, it's good when you have like I feel like it's hard to remember. My impression from Fear and Loathing is mostly visual, but I can definitely remember like again, like you talk about the popular music, the use of like is it called White Rabbit?
Oh,
White
yeah.
Rabbit, yeah, Jefferson
Yeah.
Airplane.
Jefferson
Like,
Airplane.
you know, that's like a pretty intense scene with all that, and that
Yeah.
music is important. But then there's the whole scene at the diner where it's pretty dark, and it also feels like a more sober moment in the movie, and it's very
Oh,
quiet, isn't it?
yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
there like,
yeah.
There's like
There's no
no
music.
music or anything,
Yeah.
and that
And you
that
don't know
really
if
sticks out.
You don't know if Gonzo is going to like kill or like assault this waitress who's just trying to like do her job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this movie didn't involve him killing someone, because he says it early on. He
Yeah.
narrates like, "Oh, like I think he's gonna kill someone."
Mhm.
Like
That's
if
when
he,
you bring out the gun. You always think they're going to kill someone. When they bring it
yeah,
out.
a knife. God. Ugh.
Yeah, the big knife.
But again, it's maybe just another tool to make you unsettled the whole time. It's,
I guess.
how
so,
far
eh?
are these guys going to go? Like,
Well, yeah,
drug-wise.
I definitely thought there was going to be some extremely fucked up thing. Although I guess like Gonzo kidnapping a child and having his way with her is pretty goddamn
We
fucked
don't
up.
see it though.
We don't see
doesn't
it, but it's
make any less-
implied.
Oh yeah, but it's like I would have expected to see that in this kind of movie to make you that much more uncomfortable, but you just see the aftermath of it, which I mean maybe is
for all we know,
effective too.
they wanted to, and the studio was like, no.
Yeah.
Probably
Do you
no.
know how old Christina Ricci was when they filmed this? Did anyone look that up? I would be curious because
No.
she looks young anyway.
I'm on it.
But I wondered how young she was when they shot this. So I
Yeah.
don't know how old that like character was supposed to be. Like a child, like a minor.
would have
Like, are we
been-
I think
thinking,
a
like,
minor, yeah.
She
Yeah,
would have been
14?
probably
Like
17.
14 or 15, I think was the implication.
She would have been 17 when they filmed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
she's
geez.
I would say she's probably playing 14, 15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Anywho's-
That's pretty messed up.
That
Super
part
glad
of
we
it.
didn't see anything.
Yeah, I didn't need that today.
We got to hear about it
Whatever.
with
Yeah.
Johnny Depp's.
In great graphic detail. So I guess my only sound note for what happens in Vegas was when we're at the Rager that's happening in their house.
I know what you're gonna say.
And they both escape to the bathroom with no door.
Yeah, way down
That
the hall.
is-
Yeah.
No, not way down the hall.
Yeah,
no,
it's like down the hall. There's like a little corner, and they go around. Right? Wait.
no. It's you're being stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bathroom with no door that is soundproof. Apparently, you could like have a whispered conversation in this bathroom.
Well, you see, when they went into the bathroom, PA said "quiet on set," and the noise went down. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
for clearing that
everything
up,
was
Sean.
just so cliche. Like every song that came on, I was like, okay, yep. Sure, that fits, I guess.
This movie in general just kind of like it almost reads like some sort of like deeply meta experience where they're actually going through some like Truman Show-esque acid trip where their life is like continually like what a movie would be. So when they're at the park, it's like kids laughing. And when they're in Vegas, it's like people partying. And when they're in the bathroom, it's like they can hear each other. It's just like everything is too movie perfect. And it's one of the things I got to say about this movie. It's consistent. It's consistently bad at the exact same
Correct.
level all the way
Yeah.
through, which is
Yes.
kind of impressive. It means that someone somewhere was trying to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Someone somewhere along the line, a valiant editor was piecing this together.
Was like, nah, this is what it is. This is the tone we're going with, and yes, we're keeping the spousal abuse bit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be funny
Woof.
because the guy's doing it, huh? The guy's saying, "She hit me," huh?
Although I will say that the payoff was a little funny when she shows the video of them just being
Hitting on
absolute
him?
idiots in the street.
Sure, yeah. Watching Rob Corddry and Ashton Kutcher hit each other is funny because,
Yeah.
at least at that point in the film, I wished pain on both of them.
Yeah,
Both
see,
of
that
them?
wasn't
Oh,
real.
I loved Rob Corddry in this movie.
Rob
I was
Corddry's-
ready to like him in this film, and then he just did the thing he does.
He falls off.
Sure, but
in
they all
like
do that
The
in this
last
movie.
40 minutes. This like the latter half. But he's at the beginning. You're like, oh, Rob, you are helping this a lot.
Yeah. That's for
And
acting.
I also
though.
feel like the
Yeah.
that's its direction too, right?
Is there anything else to say about sound with these movies? I don't know. I just feel like there's
I have another kind of callback story question. It's a question.
yeah.
More so about how this movie might relate to real life. And that is, do any of you know anybody in any circle of friends that has a literal army of sluts on call that they could just like bring to a
I
party?
wish, Dan.
No, not for me. Not for me. But
No, for me. Sadly, no.
yeah. Okay.
I've got hot friends.
Go
will
on.
they come to your party to try and seduce your husband?
But not even try to seduce your husband. Literally, they are taking orders to do whatever is necessary to get in his pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have friends like that.
Okay, and sorry. And the first, because that happens after. So there are 6 women, right, that show up doing the like, we got locked out of our place. Can we have our drinks in here with you? Mm-hmm. So were they friends of Cameron Diaz, or did she hire prostitutes?
That's what I thought. I thought that she had hired these women.
She
Because they never
hired-
show them
She
interacting
hired
at
them, yeah.
all.
And then they unleash the army of sluts.
And then there's an extra army of slut friends.
Yeah.
That just end up being
Yeah.
the
So
same.
why wouldn't they just send the army of sluts first? Why would they hire women instead of just sending a group of like women who are for sure going to try and bang them?
Because Dan, as we've talked about, they never edited any part of this script.
Right,
They just kept shooting scenes, and they were like, yeah, that can happen. Yeah,
I
that might as well
always
happen. Sure.
assumed those were her friends that she called in because hot people have hot friends.
Well, they
I
were her friends'
hired
friends.
them.
They were her friends' friends. She was like, "Do you have sluts you can bring in?" And she's like, "Yes, I do."
Oh
No,
yeah,
I-
later. But even the first ones, I thought were just like Cameron
Her
Diaz's friends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a dick about it, but those women were like 20 years younger than Cameron Diaz.
Yeah,
Oh.
but she's supposed to be like 32 max in this film, and he's
Really?
supposed to be. Yeah, I think
Really?
that's what they're
I-
going for. Yeah.
Oh, I was
I
getting
don't think so.
mid-40s
No?
vibes.
Well,
Yeah, I think she's
From
like in her
Cameron
early
Diaz.
40s, and he's in his like mid-ish 30s, is what I gathered. I actually appreciated
Yeah,
that it was like she was clearly older than him.
right.
Yeah, but she's not very far into her career for someone who's so serious about her career, which is what makes me think that they're younger. Because she's super like motivated and she's still like in the pit. And then he's like, there's going to be an office. And so that's where I was getting 30s vibes because that's when you're supposed to be
Right.
establishing
The-
your career.
That also
That's
brings up
bullshit.
another
That's all
question.
bullshit.
Bullshit.
That also brings up another question that I had watching this movie, which is how exactly does Wall Street work? Because every time I see a movie, and
Barely.
I don't want like intricate detail.
Oh, you won't get them.
I want an explanation for why, and every time I see Wall Street depicted in a movie, it's just a literal pit of people yelling.
Yeah,
At-
they're all doing.
I'm not sure who they're
transactions.
yelling. Who are they yelling at?
They're
At
yelling at
buyers
their
and
bosses.
sellers. Yeah,
Not, like,
but-
They're yelling.
people-
Okay.
Like-
At buyers and sellers saying, "I want on a certain number of stocks."
Because it's just about because stocks go up and down in value, right?
Yeah.
And that,
Yes.
as we learned recently with the GameStop revolution / fiasco,
Yeah.
that like it's super based on imaginary bullshit, but that
Yeah.
imaginary bullshit can fluctuate in factors that influence millions and billions of dollars in the course of a day, in
Hours,
the course of an
yeah.
hour, in the course of a few minutes. So if you have someone faster communicating something that's come through and you buy something first while it's super cheap before it's going to go up again, then you potentially make, an extra X millions of dollars. So apparently people scream at each other.
Well,
yeah, so
yeah,
the short answer is I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
it's
Great,
bullshit.
perfect.
It's
Money is
It's all
fake,
fake,
and
yeah.
this is the system we decided to deal with it.
yeah,
with.
it's
Yeah.
a casino.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also just another like way to show that she's a ball busting woman, right? Like a
Yeah, she's
woman
part of the
making
system,
it
literally.
on Wall Street. And it's just like another stupid device that's lazy and boring.
Yep, and it's down to her and the other hot girl for the promotion because your
Down
boss
to
is a
her
dirty
and
old man.
Chunger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I also just like hate in movies when women are just in competition for like the sake of it and are like just hate each other because like
Yeah, because
that's what you do.
we never see her. This is all story, but it's all gonna come
Yeah.
out. We never see her actually be good at her job. We see her at her job, and we see people say she's good at her job, but
You
we
two
don't
are
see her
tied.
like, yeah. We
Yeah.
don't see her being like really hot on the take and not having like some information that other people don't have because she's got sources.
Yeah.
That's not important. The important thing is that she's hot.
She's very hot.
That's it. That's the important part.
she's
of the
very hot.
story.
She's doing her rooftop kickboxing class next to the rooftop exercise bike class, spin class. in Manhattan. So she's doing well.
She's
So we
very
need to
hot.
know. She's very hot, and she keeps herself hot.
She
Should we
does have
move
a
on?
mean spinning jump kick, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah.
fucking kick, and then like
That
I was
kick
like,
was
what?
the best part of the film.
Yeah.
What
It was
kick?
pretty
I've missed
fucking impressive.
this.
It's
She
at the
kicks
end
a
of that
bag.
scene, yeah, where she's doing the punching bag scene, and she's talking to like Belle, and it's when they realize they can get the affair to ruin it, whatever. And she finishes
right.
it, and she goes, yeah, and she throws one just like nice like right high kick, and then she comes down and immediately jumps spin, like does a jumping spin kick into the bag, and then
Yeah.
kind of keeps
And it's
smiling and
great.
laughing.
Gotta
Yeah.
be left over from her Charlie's Angel days.
Right?
definitely.
It's really
Right.
good.
It is really good. And they call like
like, she can
almost
do that?
zero
Put
attention
it
to
in.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
When
it cuts before she lands the kick. Well, like
Yeah.
before she lands the jump. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good that they should have made a whole other part of this movie about it. That
Yeah.
she should spin jump kick someone, like her ex who dumped her. This movie should have an ending where she does that to him, like off a dock at the lighthouse.
No, it has a scene
Like,
where Rob
they both
Corddry
show
and like,
up,
yeah, that'd be nice.
you know, and then she kicks Jason Sudeikis off of the world.
Ooh. Well, we're essentially enacting now, so should we ding?
So yeah, end of round. Going into our fourth and final official round. Acts good. So, these movies both have lots of funny cameos. They both have weird side characters.
Yeah.
To name a few in Fear and Loathing, we already mentioned Christina Ricci. Gary Busey makes a cameo as himself.
Oh, he's
In the
so
most
good.
confusing character, I didn't understand.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, what was was he supposed to have recognized Johnny Depp from somewhere or something? Like, I didn't understand why he was letting him off the hook, and then also making
think-
He's a
advances
nice
on him.
guy.
Well, no,
Is he
I
a
think
nice guy?
I think
'Cause
he was.
seemed like a bit of a dick.
I think he was giving him a break so that he'd get a little something in return.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, right,
Okay.
because he's like,
He says that he
That's
I
raped
have
her.
a
kiss.
kiss.
Yeah.
Does it say that he raped him?
Yeah, right after that scene, the next cut, he's driving back, and he says he raped me.
No, he
In
says,
those words?
I feel like, no, I
Yeah,
think
he
he
says
says,
he
I
feels-
felt
Feel?
like I was
Yeah.
raped. Yeah.
Okay,
But I think like it's insinuated he like let the guy kiss him.
right,
Let
Yeah,
the cop
yeah.
kiss him. Yeah.
Right.
But then he was also going to be like waiting for him at the Los Angeles turnoff if he didn't go to the
Right.
podunk town that he said he was going to. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
For more.
But Gary Busey was phenomenal in that scene.
Yes, this is true. Also, for as incredibly disturbing as Benicio del Toro was, I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Flawless.
I wrote like Johnny Depp just making a meal out of the whole thing. I get that if that's the point. I get that that's like what he was trying to do, just like chewing it all up. And I wrote, I like Benicio because he's acting weird, but he's not being weird about it the way that Johnny Depp. That was the only way I could.
Like
That's
you mean
a good point.
that's a great point, and I would relate to that by saying like, so do you mean like Johnny Depp's like turned out squatty like bounce walk that he was doing, where he was
Like
first of all
owl
he's
face?
like,
like,
but
are
also
you a bird?
he had this like walk where his legs were like turned out, and
Yeah, I
It's
think
A little
he
too
was
much for me.
he was trying to recreate Hunter S. Thompson as best he could, but I think he was also recreating the Hunter S. Thompson that is 20 years older than he's supposed to be in this film.
right.
Yeah. I agree with you, Aaron, but I think Depp in this film I see a comedic timing from Depp that I have not seen in any of his other performances. And I thought he was hilarious in the moments where he's supposed to be funny.
I also kind of surprisingly got a bit of that from Benicio del Toro
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Who is supposed to be this like actual psychopath, but he adds a bit of comedic levity to this film that is unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely played
yeah.
really well off of each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't like Tobey Maguire, so as soon as I saw him, I was like, no, thank you, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Why
Anyone
don't you
who
like
looks
Tobey
like
Maguire?
that in general.
I don't like him because I think whatever role he plays, he always looks like that character. Like he's always this weird looking, wafy, sweaty little man.
And here's the time I reiterate the story that when we did our Robert Munch show at George Brown and I was interacting with the young audience beforehand, one of the teachers thought that I was Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man.
Look, I like you.
Yeah.
Wait, to be clear, I
You're
like
not
Sean.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Wait, one of the parents thought that you were playing Tobey Maguire?
No,
or that
they
you
were
actually Tobey Maguire.
They were like, "Oh, from afar, you look like Tobey Maguire, from
right.
Spider-Man."
And you're like, "Fuck you, lady."
Yeah. I can't wait to tell Erin. Haha.
I would have had your back in that moment. I would have punched them.
I'll take it. I don't mind Tobey Maguire.
No, she would have punched him for herself, it sounds like.
Right. That's fair.
Don't you dare call my boyfriend Tobey Maguire.
Seriously, though.
I hate that wafy man.
But we mentioned Cameron Diaz making a weird cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like,
doing her I've never seen her do a movie where she's not that character. Like even when she's like the strong badass, like uptight woman in whatever the movie was, What Happens in Vegas, still same person.
Yeah.
Do you like how we got to see her be better at her job in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas for the 30 seconds that she was on screen than we did in the entirety of a movie that was partially about the work she was
Yes,
doing?
I do.
So true.
Yes, absolutely.
There's also a surprisingly long cameo from the guy who wasn't he like Law and Order SVU? He plays the gay
Hotel attendant.
Hotel attendant, which actually that was a cool moment where he's like, where Deb is like, but I could hear what he was actually saying and talking about how he was like taking back the power from these cops who have abused him and homosexuals for so long and gay people for so long. Sorry. That's kind of a fun scene, but he comes back, although his portrayal is like, I'm sorry, sir. There's just nothing that we can do. Like it was heavy. It was heavy
on the nose.
Heavy on the sauce.
Yeah.
But he was in it, and then the guy who was yelling at him was the guy who like runs the Miami Dolphins in Ace Ventura. That's all I know him from. Anyway, but
I like that scene though.
Yeah, it was also a good scene. I agree, and I feel like there's maybe some other. There's a lot of familiar faces that come in like weird ways in this movie. I would say that's maybe it.
Yep. And
who was the guy that he was talking to at the bar? The media tent at the motorcycle race, because he was also somebody. He's a guy from NCIS.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's only in it for like that scene, right?
Yeah.
There's also someone who was like driving a car who I recognized from someone, or from somewhere. Sorry, like there was another actor in one of the cars that they came across, and he didn't even say anything, but he was a recognizable face.
Like,
it's just there's a lot of it in this movie, and Vern Troyer's in this movie.
Vern Troyer,
Yes, for a
who I've
split
never
second.
I realized I've never seen with hair. So when he came on, I was
Right.
like, "Whoa!"
Right.
Yeah.
There's a
And
lot
then
of
in
stuff about little people in this movie.
Yeah, he seems to have a fast or did Vegas in the 70s really like employing little people for their service jobs?
See, again, I wasn't
Like, as a
sure.
gimmick.
Maybe it was a gimmick, but I also wasn't sure if that was again just
Like,
his like distorted perception
Yeah.
of reality. Because
Yeah.
when we see the first little person as the waiter, like a scene later, we see Johnny Depp drive away, and there's a dude in an angel costume holding a flaming sword.
yeah.
Well, and you know what's interesting? You say that too, Dan, about like distorting reality and what are we supposed to see? In the first scene of this movie, when he's fighting off the bats, as they drive away, there is a dead bat.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know what the
What
fuck
does that
was
mean?
about. Yeah, I don't know. Sean,
Oh,
I don't know.
Oh, I didn't notice the dead bat. That flew over my head.
Ha!
Like a bat.
Oh, like a bat, like Batman.
He's in on it.
Oh, the bat
Well, I
conspiracy.
don't know. I
Oh my
don't know
god,
what
I
it
wish
means either.
Batman was in this movie. Yeah, I was confused by that.
I don't think you do. I think Batman in this movie would be a horrifying figure.
Yeah.
That comes in and beats the crap out of them when Lucy's stuck in the hotel room.
Oh, that would be amazing. But it's Will Arnett as Batman from Lego Batman.
Yeah, of course.
Right. It's Pete Holmes.
The true
It's Pete
Batman.
Holmes as
Pete
Batman.
Holmes Batman.
Love Pete Holmes.
Yeah, he's not in this film, but his friend Jake Sudeikis is in the other film. I assume they're friends. They're both gangly white men.
Probably.
Jason
In the comedy
Sudeikis.
world.
Jason Sudeikis is terrible again.
He was
He's bad.
He was the very first red flag of this movie, and he's the first thing we see. And as soon as he popped on screen, I was like, "Oh no, this entire movie is going to suck." And that entire first scene is a dumpster fire, where they're
The
talking.
only direction these people were given was to be as awful and as obnoxious as possible. Like that's all that's happening the entire time until we see Ashton Kutcher with a kid. That's it.
Yeah.
And also, like, one take is enough. So
Yeah, except for Queen Latifah, who gets a pass.
She did her job. Like she
No,
was
she was-
phenomenal in this film. She just did the job that was required.
Yeah.
But in
Even
comparison,
quickly.
But yeah,
Yeah.
relatively speaking, she should
Oscar-worthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Stole the film.
I would say Dennis Miller also, for what he was
Yeah, he
given,
was funny.
did. Yeah.
he was like what more of the movie should have been. Was like people
Totally.
actually being playful and like it being like a comedy.
Because no one is worthy of your support in this film. No one is portraying a character that
Yeah.
you want to find happiness. No one.
No, and even when they're like being real with each other, by that point they've done so many horrible things and been so hostile that you're like, why do I care that your dad doesn't really like criticizes you all the time and you can't finish building a table? I don't get it.
Yeah, the parents are emotionally abusive to their son. Their son is an idiot. Cameron Diaz is, I don't know what they were trying to portray her as, but it was a nothing in the end. Jason Sudeikis is the culmination of every bad man role ever written.
And then
Kristen
you have
Ritter-
like your stock best friends who hate each other. Like I just
I liked them. I liked them. Yeah, I actually thought that I needed something to anchor me to this movie. And
But why did
It
like
Queen
was
Latifah
them.
didn't do it.
yeah?
there wasn't enough Queen Latifah.
Yes,
No,
agreed.
but
we
some of
can
those
both agree with
moments-
that.
Yeah.
Some of those moments with Rob Corddry and Lake Bell, they're pretty rough. Lake Bell is pretty rough in this movie, but it's mostly because her lines are terrible. Rob Corddry gets away a bit more, but like I said, it doesn't work in the end. Lake Bell gets better as she goes. It's one of those things where they weren't really funny. They just reminded me. I feel like I smiled because I was like remembering moments in other movies where they did that same premise well. And I was smiling like I knew, it's like a familiarity. It's like I was eating a meal that I've had really good before and I was enjoying it, not because it was that level, but it's like, yeah, this is at least, I know what this tastes like when it's really good.
Yeah.
Or like watching it and being like, I remember when I was dumb enough to think something like this was funny.
Right? When you were in the 9th grade.
Yeah, who is this
Yeah.
movie for? Is it for adults? Like it must
I
be,
wrote
but-
that down. I said, who saw this movie? What I should look up the information of the like whether it was
How
a
much it
box
pulled
office
in?
hit. Yeah.
Well, Sean was saying too that it had like a higher, like I get that Fear and Loathing is a cult classic,
Yeah.
but What Happens in Vegas has a higher rating on Rotten Tomatoes than that movie. And I was
Slightly,
like,
yeah.
That can't be right.
What?
That
Or,
can't
on
be right.
on IMDb. They're similar. It's
Oh,
like
on
6.1, 6.2, yeah.
Oh, IMDb doesn't really count. They got to go based on the tomatometer. Thermometer?
Yes.
What's
we
it
must
called?
we must all go by the tomato.
Thermometer.
Thermometer. Yeah, there you go.
Thermometer. Why doesn't IMDb show
Box office.
yeah. Wikipedia.
Maybe on the
it
wiki.
is.
Maybe on the wiki
Yeah,
if there's one
yeah.
for it.
All right. Well, you're looking that up. I do think that it's only fair to talk about the one redeeming scene in What Happens in Vegas, which is the post-credit wedding flashback. Because
It's
Because
always gotta
for
be
me-
post-credits.
pardon me.
There always has to be a post-credit scene in one of these.
Did you watch the
There was
post-credit scene
two.
as well?
There was two in this
Yeah,
one.
okay, good. Yeah.
But the wedding was barely a post credit. They had like 2 credits and then
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
this in because it was necessary. And for me, I saw that and I was like, why wasn't more of the movie like this masterclass in acting?
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Wait, are you being sarcastic?
You mean
Of course, I'm being
you mean
sarcastic.
Cameron Diaz ad-libbing her drunk lines at extras.
Because they
was-
thought they were really good.
Yeah, but it was so bad. I was like, why the fuck? Who saw this on the cutting room floor and was like, no, put that back in. No, they put that in.
The minister was actually pretty funny. They would cut back to him close up, and he was like, "This is really nice. This is very nice." I thought that was actually really funny. That was a good quality. I liked it.
So, based on a budget of $35 million to produce this film, who would like to take a guess at the worldwide box office?
I'm gonna guess it did really well in India, $80 million, because it makes arranged marriages look good.
I'm going to say it pulled in a total of $145 million worldwide for a profit of like $110 million.
Okay, so $35 million production budget. Let's double that, say, for after marketing's done. This movie made internationally $219.4 million.
A hit.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, that makes me physically angry, actually.
Yeah.
Like, at least I never paid for it. Like, I didn't go to theaters. I'm not that lame.
Oh boy.
I can't imagine seeing either of these movies in theaters. I think I would be happier to see What Happens in Vegas in theaters, if I'm being honest. Though.
I think that I would throw up if I watched Fear and Loathing in the cinema.
IMAX front row.
God.
Can you fucking imagine what that would be like?
The puke
Oh my
would
God.
be in your face.
That would
All
be
right.
terrible.
I am going to, for my last trick in this segment, I meant to bring this up in looks, but I'm going to shoehorn it into acting.
Okay,
So I'm going to share with you the poster. This poster for What Happens in Vegas has haunted me since it came out. I've never seen the film. I just know what this poster is. So we have the poster here. as we can
I've
see.
seen that.
What are they conveying with this image? Like, sure, she's having it there. They're having a good time. Why is he pointing at her? And what is the shit-eating grin on his face?
Do you
yeah.
Do you know what this looks like to me? You know how, like, every bus ad you see for a morning radio show? That's what I see in this ad. The doofy guy or it's like sometimes it's the lady being like, this guy, and then he's being like a weirdo. That's what this looks like to me, is a radio show.
So
that
true.
one.
The narrative here is she's a little sassy and maybe gets her clothes off a bit, and he just goes, what's she doing here? Come on.
Like, look who I got.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's
my
bad.
rant.
That's really bad, yeah. I'm glad you showed that to us, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I like Zach Galifianakis in this movie. He was less obnoxious than I thought he was.
Yeah.
And I just like that they peppered him throughout. He has a couple good little lines, and I was like, that is enough. That's my limit for Zach.
The kidnappy stuff I was done with by the end, but he was
The
funny.
kidnappy stuff?
Yeah.
The kidnappy stuff.
Where he's like, why don't you just tell me where she lives, and then I'll go make sure she's okay, blah blah blah. That's just all in their concept.
I didn't get the impression that he was talking about kidnapping her. I thought he was just in love with her.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, maybe
because
stalker.
Yeah, maybe he's stalking
stalker.
her.
All right.
Some harmless
Yeah,
Yeah,
stalking.
but it's going to take a few years of radicalizing before he makes the next step into kidnapping, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they definitely
Exactly.
don't share a word in the entire movie. So
Yeah.
They do.
It is
They
freaky.
do. He hits on her at the
When?
party. He hits
Yeah,
on
he
her at the
says
party.
he's like they're all the joke is supposed to be that the guys that are there, right, have been told to ignore her whenever she talks to them, which we talked about before. And so that's what everyone's supposed to be doing. But then it cuts to a scene of Zach being like, if you ever need to talk to anyone, I'm here for you. Like, he's doing the opposite.
And
That's
she
the
doesn't
joke.
just turn around and leave, though.
Oh, she might
I think
not
they cut
actually say
away.
anything to him.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I don't think they show any more than that. This must have filmed around the same time as The Hangover, I'm guessing, right? Like, I imagine this is before he was big, or it was like
Just
I think
before.
so. I think this movie kind of felt like a dry
at the same
run for
time.
him for his character in The Hangover.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why they didn't give him as much rope, so he had to be peppered just right. Whereas like Hangover was he was allowed again and again in through those movies. I didn't see all of them, but I
Now
imagine
that's a good Vegas movie, but it's not schlocky, so I wouldn't have picked it. But that's
Yeah.
a good Vegas movie that shows Vegas.
Mhm.
there you go, stamp of approval.
Erin Maxfield's favorite film. The
I mean, it
Hangover.
still portrays women like shit.
No, it's
so
your favorite film.
I wouldn't go that far.
It's your
but
favorite film.
Perfect in every way. So
I do
Yep.
like it. I would watch it. I'll watch it tonight.
Wow.
No, we will not.
that'll learn you. I'll
Yeah.
watch this movie alone.
Fine, I'll just stay in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm uncomfortable.
Okay. I sleep on the couch all the time. It's fine.
Okay, that made it worse. Let's end the round now.
Okay.
Jokes,
the acting
jokes,
is acting is generally bad is the
Jokes.
point in that movie.
Yes.
Great. End of round. So let's carry on then. Let's do our likes and gripes, our lightning round. Fan favorite likes and grapes. Likes and grapes.
Likes and grapes.
Like a grape.
Aaron,
It's not by movie, right?
it's
No,
just a
it's just-
speed round.
It's just any
Just
point
yell
from any movie.
things.
Yeah, you just say like this or gripe this thing.
What's the order?
Should we treat it like the Wall Street Pit and just everyone shouts at the same time for 2 minutes?
No, no. Okay. So I'm gonna set a timer, and the order is gonna be let's do Dan first. Let's do Dan, Sean, myself, and then Aaron. You can go fourth. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
And you-
Is it alternating between like and gripe?
no,
Whatever
you
you
can
want.
say,
Just say whatever you want.
Okay, got
you
it.
can say like this, gripe that, like if you want to like likes. Alrighty, so I'm gonna put 2 minutes on the clock, and this is our lightning round of likes and gripes. Ready? Dan, ready? Ready?
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
Gripe, the phrase "I dare you" being the catalyst for the plot of any movie.
Like the line, "You're fired, awful jackass."
Like the shot of Johnny Depp's yellow glasses in the blue police seminar.
Gripe, the guy casually looking at porn before his motocross race.
Oh, missed that.
Weird.
Gripe, Vegas.
Like OJ and Budweiser smoothies.
Oh, I hopped you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You pitch.
Like Johnny Depp's beer turning into a dirt smoothie. Sorry.
Gripe, when Cameron Diaz looks at Ashton Kutcher playing with kids and her ovaries explode.
Like astronaut baby circus show.
Like the reptile bar reveal.
Yes. Like the line, "I invent hip hop? No, but I was there."
Gripe, any bar that would give a customer a knife.
Gripe, 360 first kiss shot in any movie.
Gripe, oh no, she fell in the toilet.
That actually was funny.
Ugh.
Gripe, screaming as comedy.
Like Billy Eichner.
Like the line, "You're falling for your wife, you idiot."
Like Diaz's jump kick.
Pass. I pass. I don't have one yet. Go, Aaron.
Gripe, no love is that happy.
Wow. Gripe, people saying "son of a bitches" instead
Gripe,
of "sons of bitches." Sorry.
Gripe, bread in the bathtub.
Gripe, their stupid baguette fight in Central Park.
Gripe, calling Cameron Diaz heavy is a crime against women.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Save the best for last. That's perfect.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I passed that we could make a way around for that one.
Man. Yeah, I respect the pass. I respect
gotta-
the move of the pass. Yeah.
Thank you. I was inspired by Brendan
Yeah.
to just lean into the pass. Oh my goodness. Well, great. Those were wonderful. Let's finish this off. Let's get our points out here. Let's rate these movies and
Yeah.
decide which one is the Citizen Kane of the week. So our first category, round one, was story good. How do we feel? Where are people sitting? Because one doesn't have a story, and that's
Right.
tricky.
That's my problem, is that I don't.
But
Bad story versus no story.
like with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, it is about the journey. And though the journey does not tell a coherent story, we still start at a point and end at a point, and you are left with real physical and emotional sensations. Whereas the only thing I had from What Happens in Vegas was pure anger. So I'm going Fear and Loathing.
There's a bit of fun. There's some fun in there.
Yeah, there's fun once in a while.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Fear and Loathing.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go the other way. I think Fear and Loathing was too much of the same thing for me, and there was at least a story that I could follow in the other one. So that's enough for me to say What Happens in Vegas.
All right.
Yeah,
Erin?
I'm unfortunately going to also have to give my point to What Happens in Vegas, even
I'm
though I
moving
didn't
out.
even though I don't like it. But part of me is just like, if that story was in someone else's hands, it might be good, even if they didn't really do it.
Well, are you going to
Wait,
punch a ninth grader and take their story away?
I mean, I might.
She probably would.
It's I got to give this quick analysis for why I'm giving my vote the way I would, which is that if I saw like a bad, like a pretty poorly done community theater pantomime, and then someone also like just like picked up some chips and crushed them in my face, and when it's like the experience, do you feel the experience of this? I would still feel that shitty pantomime had a bit more story.
Okay, I accept your thing, but like a crunkly bag of chips is not the same as watching Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I know. But I'm just saying that, like, while again, I will not diminish the experience that Fear and Loathing portrayed. I feel that my vote must also go to
All right.
What Happens in Vegas.
Well, it takes that point with a 3-1 win.
Superior story.
I'm
Better
sad.
script, I'd say.
Yeah,
How do we
sadder
how do we
words have
feel
never
right
been
now about
spoken.
Not good. I don't
I
feel
don't feel
great.
good about that vote.
Yeah, I don't feel great.
Okay.
I loved some of the writing in Fear and Loathing. Anyway, the points have been given.
Yep. Nope.
It's done.
No takesy backsies.
Yeah. It's official rule of the pod.
Yeah.
Looks good. Looks good. I mean,
I
this
think
one, come on, Fear and Loathing.
Yeah. Fear and Loathing.
We're not going to fuck around here.
No,
I think I also have to go with What Happens in.
Shut up, Daniel.
You're moving out
We've all been living together this whole time.
in separate rooms. All right.
Yeah, Fear and Loathing. Sound, I really barely even know what to do with this. Because, I mean, one started with Mika. I like Mika. Mika made me happy. But that was it. That's just a cheap ploy.
Yeah. That's all they do, though. They're trying to make you feel happy because you like the song, not because...
That's
they're-
nice.
Yeah, they're presenting you with anything. Fear and Loathing.
Yeah, I thought Fear and Loathing was. I thought their use of sound was incredibly effective. I mean, that one seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, I Fear and Loathing for me as well. Mainly because I liked just the soundtrack better. Like,
Yeah,
I did have to ride the levels a lot at the beginning of the movie, but I mean, White Rabbit, that's a good tune. And I don't really care about any of the music in the other movie. It made me feel nothing.
Immediately forgettable.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
made me feel nothing.
And no, there's no question about it. In terms of the experience that Fear and Loathing gives you, the music and the sound is so deeply important, and how they work with the visuals. Yeah, Fear and Loathing all the way. So, fourth category, acts good. Because Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah.
Okay, let's do a count. Let's do a count of quality actors in each movie. Okay.
Okay.
Because this is legitimate. So we have Queen Latifah.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Dennis Miller.
Uh,
Good. Ashton Kutcher doing his Kutch thing.
I would agree
good.
with thank you.
Bad
no,
writing,
Kutch. I'll give it
charming.
to Kutch.
Kutch gets a point.
Kutch gets a point.
His improvs were bad.
But
Kutch
Okay.
gets a point.
Kutch gets a point.
Not on my board.
I would say Rob Corddry also gets. He was doing some good stuff there. So that's what is
Hard
that?
fail.
5,
What
4.
about Galifianakis?
Galifianakis.
There's 3.
So
He
that's
gets, like,
5. That's 5 people. 5
3
decent
people.
quality actors in this movie. Now we go against Fear and Loathing.
Okay.
We have Del Toro,
Del Toro.
Hands down.
Gary
Depp is doing
Busey,
great work.
Depp, yeah, sure. Okay, Depp, We got Busey.
The Buse. Diaz is fun, but there also aren't
Is
characters.
Diaz fun?
Yeah, she's fun in her scene. And
No.
guy from your TV show there is
Look,
fun.
no, Sean, for the first time ever, this is being decided on number of actors and
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Number of good actors.
I understand you're trying to give it a fighting chance. It's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Is
Yeah.
it though? I think
It
I made a
absolutely
pretty
is.
strong case just now for.
I think you are as good a lawyer as Rob Corddry's character is.
I think had Johnny Depp been just like muted the whole time, then
Ooh,
that
here
would
we
have been better acting for me. But because Benicio del Toro is so good, he takes it for sure.
Dan, where are you voting here, huh?
In the numbers, you can't argue
numbers,
with the numbers.
The numbers don't lie.
Sheer numbers.
The numbers don't lie.
We're adding further number
Yeah.
ratings to this podcast. Number of songs.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess
That's
Fear and
it. Like,
Loathing.
there are more songs.
I do want to give What Happens in Vegas a fighting chance because I genuinely had a very upsetting experience with Fear and Loathing.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Look, it's not our fault you've done a lot of drugs, okay, Daniel?
That's
I didn't
true.
know
It's
that
entirely
when
my
I
fault.
picked this movie.
You did know that, Aaron.
Yeah.
I knew. I totally knew.
Yeah. Del Toro, I think I agree. He's enough to take it for that movie.
Hey,
Jack.
Yeah, Fear and Loathing. Come on. I mean, again, I want to make it clear that it doesn't really matter. They both had fine moments, but mostly it's pretty bad. It's mostly a bad script. If I were being honest, I think there are fine actors in this. Like I know they can all be good. Like Belle, it can be really good, and all that kind of stuff. It's just
yeah, they all can be brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah.
no
And
Fear and Loathing.
rewatchability, huh?
Rewatchability. Look, I'll start
I
this
think
one
we know
off.
my vote.
What Happens in Vegas, right?
Willow, right?
Yeah.
Definitely Olympus Has Fallen.
Definitely Olympus Has Fallen. It's Bucky Larson, right?
Fuck you, fucking Larson.
Look, there's part of me wants to watch Fear and Loathing again because to like see what I didn't see, it gives you that kind of thing. But if I'm being real, if there's a movie that Miranda and I are going to put on again sometime, it's going to be What Happens in Vegas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's like a junk food type movie, whereas Fear and Loathing is like, well, neat. May it never. But I don't want to watch it in its entirety again. Like I wouldn't. I don't want to. I don't want to do that again. Whereas like, if I was on a plane, I would watch What Happens in Vegas. Whatever.
I agree. I hated What Happens in Vegas, but I could not put myself through Fear and Loathing again. Like
I'm the exact opposite.
Of course you are.
Could not like. I was emotionally stunted at the end of the film. It took me a couple hours of just like sitting around the apartment and reevaluating my life to like get over What Happens in Vegas.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Maybe.
It's kind of fun. It's
It's not though.
It's like a light, fluffy, easy movie that requires very little of you.
Yeah.
as
There are
opposed
better.
to just
There are
the-
better
the-
like fluffy, easy movies that don't make me like
Sure,
angry at the
but that's
world.
We're not
not what we're
talking about
talking
those
about.
ones.
All right. Fear and Loathing.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, you can laugh at it and you can roll your eyes, and then there's a couple funny moments in it, and you know,
Yeah.
people are pretty, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I really love dummying a bag of potato chips on the weekend, and that's how I feel about this shitty movie. Like, I don't feel good about it, but at the moment, it's all I got. It's what I want to snack on.
If you ever make us watch this film together,
Have I ever made you watch it before this, though? No, I've
No.
watched it 2 separate times on my own.
and the third time on your own.
Yeah, on my own. I made you watch it this time, but that's
Mom, Dad, stop fighting.
No, I want more of this. This is the juiciest part of the podcast so far.
Yeah.
I'll never put you through that again,
Thank you.
my
honey.
love. But I can't say I won't. Like, I'm never going to watch Fear and Loathing. I can't say I won't forget about What Happens in Vegas 3 years from now, how horrible it was, and put it on again. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah.
Wait, was it that bad? It might be fun, like the same way that like maybe there's something to be taken from Fear and Loathing if you're like high. That would be like an experience. I feel like What Happens in Vegas could be fun if you were just like drunk. It
Oh,
might
I
be.
think being drunk would make that movie so much worse.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I personally think that being drunk makes every movie worse, but that like the movie's already so little fun that being drunk where you like just need to have fun, that would be torture.
You're like, this isn't working at all.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh.
Gross.
Well, Sean, how do the points stack up if someone couldn't keep track?
Yeah, it's 3 points for Benicio del Diablo et al. And 2 points for what happens in Vegas.
So a narrow win is what we're saying. A really, it just scraped by.
Like narrower than it should be.
Like,
Oh, yes.
it's much narrower than it should be. Yeah.
But
I
the
reluctantly
story,
give my point for story though.
Oh,
like I didn't
yes.
like it.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
that's fair.
yeah. Sean's like, well, I'm on the right side of history, so I have nothing to be sorry for.
Scholars will write what.
So that means with a score of 3-2, the Citizen Kane of the week is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Congratulations, Fear and Loathing. You are weird and crazy, and yet you have succeeded this day.
Who's
Yeah.
got the mescaline? Who brought the mescaline?
Mescaline?
What is mescaline?
Mescaline? I have no idea.
Let me look that up for you.
Yeah, could you?
I'll say really quick as we sign off the podcast. Again, if you listen this far, you're amazing. First of all, thank you. For listening in parts or altogether, it means a lot. Again, if you have the extra second, if you've already listened to this podcast for an hour and 45 minutes, take an extra second, subscribe, rate, review, comment, send us an email at citizenkanevs@gmail.com. Anything you want. You can send us a letter. You can find us on the street and yell at us. Anything. Thanks so much. We're desperate. Okay. If you can't tell, we're desperate. And then we got some picks for next episode. It's Danny Boy, right?
It is me, yeah. So we're taking a trip to the Old West next week.
Oh, back to the West. Okay.
We're going back to the West. When did we go to the West the first time?
Good, the bad, the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but that was against Coyote Ugly.
You're right.
We're
Both
we're living in the Old West for the entirety of our experience next week.
Oh, I think I know.
We are going to be talking about the comedy classic Blazing Saddles.
Oh, I love you.
I've never seen it. Against the equally classic Seth MacFarlane Jam.
Yep, of course.
Classic's
A Million
stretch, but
Ways to Die in the West.
Yeah, of course.
Fun movie.
I haven't seen.
It is not.
Well, I've seen Blazing Saddles, I think, a long time ago. It's going to feel like a first watch for both movies. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be very not politically correct to our standards, but it's a good movie. Yeah.
Yep.
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never. I don't even really know what it is. I just know that it's a Mel Brooks Western.
It is
and that's enough for
brilliant
me.
social and racial commentary wrapped in a slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Sign me up.
Yep. Mescaline is peyote, so it's a short drug. Yeah.
The description was quite fascinating though, where it's like they're walking into the fucking clown place, and it's like your brain loses connection with your body and your limbs, and yet they keep going, and it's
Why would anybody want to do that to themselves ever?
Because you don't feel like society represents you in any way, and you're looking for some way to understand your own existence, I guess.
Whoa.
Wow, that was pretty heavy, man.
Shit.
Just pull that out of my ass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
But also like for the mad lols, yo, and for the Instagram pics.
perfect. Well, thanks so much for listening, everyone. That was fun. And thank you, Erin, for coming on the pod and pitching these movies.
Thanks, Erin.
This was
Yeah,
awesome.
No
So
problem.
great to
Thanks
see
for
you.
inviting me. I've got lots of ideas.
Do you have
Okay,
mescaline?
great.
I
Well-
don't have that.
Damn.
Damn it. Well, we'd love to have you back again soon. Let's make it happen. And yeah, I think that's about it. Anyone got anything else to add? Is that it? That's it.
Like, subscribe, all that jazz that we did at the top.
Great.
Yeah. And there we
Citizen Kane versus